Hey guys, welcome back to Adlib Talk, and this is my review for Love and Monsters. With an asteroid approaching, humans were forced to launch missiles to destroy it. But the chemical fallout which was released on Earth led to the mutation of cold-blooded animals into these large monsters, which meant that the majority of humans were killed. This is where Joel Dawson enters into the story. He's currently living in one of the many underground bunkers known as colonies. But before we get into more details, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing. Those are the two main ways you can help support my channel here. Cheers, and let's get right into that review. Joel Dawson is thus our protagonist in this charming dystopian sci-fi adventure movie from Michael Matthews. Being the only single person in his colony, Joel is feeling quite lonely and keeps thinking about his old girlfriend from 7 years ago. He actually managed to track her down through a radio and found out her own colony was 85 miles and a 7-day journey from his own colony. Knowing that this is probably suicide, Joel does, however, take the difficult decision to leave his colony and go and spend the rest of the apocalypse with her. Joel is your typical sort of loser kid. He freezes whenever faced with danger. However, his colony do love him, but can also admit that he is quite useless there. He does have a lot of heart, however, and can cook a sick minestrone. Anyways, so Joel leaves. He sets off on his quest to reunite with Amy, with one eye and two E's, and after a bit is attacked by this giant toad-like monster. He is saved by a dog aptly named Boy, who ends up joining up with him on his journey. And this friendship that develops between the two is one of the stronger points of this movie. It's great to see the dynamic duo helping each other in different situations. After falling into a hole of sand gobblers, Joel is saved by Clyde and Minnow, two of the many memorable side characters we meet in this movie. Now this is where we start to see Joel develop as a character, as they both teach him these important survival skills that will aid him on his journey. However, apart from these sort of skills, we also get to see Joel develop both emotionally and character-wise as he starts to sort of believe in himself more. We start to see him take more risks, be braver in certain situations. This character development is quite predictable, but still very enjoyable to see nonetheless. Like I mentioned, this movie has a lot of memorable side characters. Clyde and Minnow are just two of these. Another very memorable and well-written side character was Mavis, with a number 1 instead of an I, as a robot. Their encounter was surprisingly emotional. Performances overall were quite decent, especially by Dylan O'Brien, who does nothing out of the ordinary, but just gives us a simply charismatic performance. He is extremely likable in his role, and that is, more or less what you could ask of him out of this kind of role. However, props to him, even in the more emotional moments, he does deliver, and this ensures that this movie is not simply a fun monster-killing romp, but it is also a heartfelt one, and one with a certain amount of emotion that will make you like the character and like the movie even more. The rest of the performances are okay, nothing too special here, no Oscar award worthy performances, but still many of the side characters are also quite likable, and props to the actors for doing their best with quite minor roles. Visually, this was a surprise, but it's actually very, very beautiful movie visually speaking. Some of the CGI here for certain monsters was a pleasure to see. This, combined with the sound effects, made some of these creatures quite creepy indeed. There is one particular scene in which these sort of jellyfish float in the air with Mavis, and this was a particularly beautiful scene to see. Very creative, and I really enjoyed it. The rest of the monster stuff was quite enjoyable. Some of the action sequences here and there were actually quite good and had me excited to see. And I was always looking forward to the next sort of monster sequence, monster action scene, because they were quite well filmed and visually quite pleasing. Finally, writing is quite average here, as most of this movie is easily predictable. But to be honest with you, this is not the kind of movie you watch for the sort of Godfather writing, right? You're here to watch a visually pleasing monster killing movie with an interesting post-apocalyptic world, a fun group of side characters, and a very charismatic main protagonist whom you will enjoy following on his many adventures. This is a movie you can definitely enjoy with the whole family. Some of the set pieces are a little scary, but nothing too much. Fun and forgettable, I think, are the two best words you can use to describe it. And for all these reasons, I give Love and Monsters a 3 out of 5. And my recommendation, if you're looking for a movie to watch with the whole family, or just a fun coming of age sort of monster apocalypse kind of adventure, action adventure movie. Also, small side note, writers Brian Duffield and Matthew Robinson definitely must have played a lot of Fallout games, as many of the aspects of this movie are clearly inspired by it. The sort of post-apocalyptic world, mutating monsters, the robots, and much, much more. I hope you enjoyed that review, guys. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you still have not, and don't forget to subscribe to get more games and movie related fun. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Ad Lib Talk.